Even at the racetrack, Marty was always surrounded by adoring fans, and just like at his concerts, he was never too busy to give them an autograph and a big smile. We're back to racing in the Marty Robbins 420 at Nashville International Raceway. Bobby Allison has the lead in car number 22, followed very closely by Morgan Shepherd.
And even more closely by the second, that number 11 car of Darrell Waltrip. He has made an enormous comeback. Remember, he started in 9th place after the caution flag, Steve, and now he's right on Morgan Shepherd's tail. He's running low, and that is very significant, as I said earlier. He can hold a lower line than all the other cars, and that means that, it's a shorter way around the racetrack, but more than that, just as he's doing with Morgan Shepherd, he's gotten underneath him, he's passed him, and now he's got his sights on Bobby Allison. So that is the example that we talked about earlier of a beautiful handling race car in the hands of Darrell Waltrip.
I got a feeling Bobby Allison right now looks in the rear view mirror a little disbelieving. How could he catch him this fast? It is Darrell Waltrip pulling alongside, or attempting to pull alongside, Bobby Allison to regain this lead. Down low, as you said, Brock, and he's got the horsepower to launch it out of that hole and back up on the straightaway.
Well, he's just got Bobby Allison in a leather. I know Bobby pretty well. Bobby's a terribly competitive man, and he has got to just be fuming in that race car that he's had to give up this lead so easily to Waltrip. It isn't that he wasn't trying as hard as he could. He isn't a manifestly skillful driver. It's just that Waltrip's car is working so well, he's just driving past him. And look at this. Now that he's got a clear racetrack, he's just going away. Bye-bye.
Also, he's moving up a little higher, getting out of that low line a little bit easier on the car. The handsome, articulate, and often outspoken Darrell Waltrip again leads the Marty Robbins 420.
Well, he now has the line that he wanted. He had to run a little bit lower than he wanted to because Allison and Shepherd were holding a little bit of the line that he'd used before, but now he's in command. Marty Robbins would have been proud of Darrell Waltrip tonight. Ed?
Here's a man who really made his mark in racing. He's recently retired from 31 years of racing. Clifton Cuckoo Marlin. Cuckoo, you raced against Marty. How good was he?
Well, I felt like that Marty was just as good a driver on the track here in Nashville that you would run up against. Of course, he had some good equipment. And he was running them big blocks, the big Henny, and I was using a 427, and he got where he's pretty tough to beat.
He was competitive then.
He was definitely competitive.
I know one year you only lost one race all season, and that race was to Marty, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. I was hoping to make a complete season and not lose a race on what I finished. But back then, see, we started inverted. The faster cars had started back. And somehow or another, Marty had a car capable of mine, but he got the jump on me and got to the front before I could get there. So I guess Marty knew that I had a certain pattern I used on a racetrack, you know, where you, with the high bank, you run straight up and straight off. And of course, Marty took my pattern I run on the racetrack. And every time I start off, he'd go off with me. So and I just couldn't get by.
He just wouldn't let you around, right?
I couldn't get around. I tried him on the outside, and of course, he would shift a little bit, but I always felt like the man was in front. He could drive a track where he wanted.
Yeah.
But he took it in my groove.
I hear the two of you had a little run-in together one time.
Yes, we did. It's going on who got to the front first. And somehow I was on the outside passing cars, and he was on the inside passing. And we both reached the front about the same time going into number one down there. And the cars got together. Of course, I went into a spin, and Marty didn't lose his. He kept going. And of course, caution come out, and they relined the cars up. And of course, I had to go tail in. I had to lift Marty up front. Well, as the race went on, I knew I had to drive hard to catch Marty, but he ended the race. And I kept driving harder and harder, and I couldn't get to him.
How many laps did you have to go at that time?
It was a 30-lap race, and of course, this happened right off about the 5th lap. And getting on up about the 25th lap, I was about to lose the car in every corner. I was trying so hard. And the pit crew come out, give me a sign, slow it down. Well, when the race was over, I drove in, one of the crew ran over and asked me what was wrong with me. Said I was driving crazy out there, and I said, well, I couldn't catch Marty. He said, well, Marty done quit and done gone to Grand Wharton.
So you wound up winning the race.
Right.
Cuckoo, appreciate you coming by and sharing a story about Marty.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
Let's go back and see how they're progressing in the Marty Robbins 420.
Ed, another great racing friend of Marty Robbins, Darrell Waltrip, is leading here at Nashville.
Marty Robbins had hundreds of friends in the racing fraternity, including this man, Big Bill France, the gentleman who started Grand National Stock Car Racing, and this guy, Donnie Allison, one of the famed members of the Alabama gang. He and Marty raced together for a long, long time in the old days. This man was just coming up when Marty was in his prime. Darrell Waltrip, they did compete against each other here at the Nashville Raceway, but now Darrell Waltrip is in command, and I'm sure that Marty would have been cheering him on tonight.
Brock, while we were away, Bobby Allison had to relinquish second position to this driver. They call him the Bandit, driver of car number 33, Harry Gant. He's got second, but quite a ways behind Darrell Waltrip at the moment.
Well, Harry waited a long time to get his first Grand National victory. He finally accomplished that last year, and he's one of the very best young drivers in this business. But right now, he's got a big job to catch this guy, Waltrip, who you just can't say enough about the way that car is working for him here at Nashville.
Or the way he's driving it. The two-time NASCAR national champion, really putting on a show for the hometown fans who have turned out by the thousands to watch this. Harry Gant is apparently going to give up that second place himself as the number 33 car is in the pits.
Well, this is a very damaging stop for him because, of course, it's coming under the green, and with the guys lapping here in about 20 seconds, it means that he's going to probably lose at least a lap and perhaps more as the crew changes the outside rubber. He's going to get tires on the right side. They're going to add gasoline, and in the meantime, Darrell Waltrip's going to make perhaps one lap, maybe two. So that was a tough stop for Harry as he gets a little sideways there in the water as he gets onto the racetrack. But here comes Waltrip in as well, so maybe Gant's not as bad off as we thought.
Both of them pitting under the green, so there's no advantage there. Now, the Junior Johnson crew has got to get Darrell Waltrip out of the pit area before Harry Gant comes around, or Gant will have the lead. The car is down off the jack, smoke in the tires, and Darrell Waltrip retains the lead.
Textbook pit work for Junior Johnson and his guys. They just couldn't have done it any better, and it puts Waltrip back in command of this race. Everybody wishes they could have that kind of pit work in the pits and in the garage. Unfortunately, Jeff Bodine's crew is not having that kind of luck. They're changing a rear end. They're just thrashing down there, trying to get that car back into the race. No fun at all for them. No fun at all for another guy who's out of the race, and Steve Evans is with him in the pits.
Dale Earnhardt, one of the real fan favorites, is out of the race. Dale, what happened?
Well, it broke a valve spring, I think. It dropped the valve down. And we can't run it like that. It teared the motor on us, so we had to quit.
Well, this short track race is hard on equipment, isn't it?
Well, not really. You know, it should have stood it. We aren't turning that much. It just something happened, I reckon.
How's the track holding up, especially after the rain?
Well, it's in pretty good shape. You know, it's wore out. The pavement's been wore out on the racetrack for several years, but, you know, it's pretty hard to get a hold of the pavement. Waltrip's got it all to himself.
Trouble in the corner. Mark Martin, a youngster just in this league, tangles with Kyle Petty, another one of the youngins in this league. Kyle backing up down the racetrack. He may be trying to make the pits in reverse. That light in the instrument panel is just a warning light. There's no problem there, but he's got the right front corner of the car torn off. Kyle's trying to back the car around and now to limp it into the pits, but he and Mark Martin did tangle to bring out the caution flag.
And as soon as Bobby Allison saw that caution flag, he stormed into the pits with car number 22. They have already put right side rubber on it. The jackman now comes around, slides it under the left side. The pneumatic air riches go to work on the lug nuts. Boy, don't you wish they could do this down at the local gas station? Incredible.
Couldn't be any quicker, could it? Wow, look at those nuts and bolts go on there. And look at that.
Gets a little slippery down there with all the fuel and water and oil.
Get an A for effort.
Hey, I'll tell you what, it is mayhem in the pit area now. Now, this is what Richard Petty and Bobby Allison were trying to explain to us earlier. It can get crazy here.
Looks like the 79 Iranian fuel crisis or something down there. Everybody's going crazy. Cars trying to scramble through the cars. As you can see, as Junior Johnson said, they have to angle into their pits. There's no room for them to parallel park. There goes Ricky Red out first, but just a jam up. And they have, believe it or not, Steve, this looks a little amusing, but they have hurt some guys in this thing in years past.
As I walked out in the streets of Louisville, as I walked